you mentioned that you find that gap and that need of CFOs that needs more transparency and something that will be more accessible and convenient for them to access all the data of the treasury management. Walk us through that validation phase. Was it a market insight that you gained during the years of you seeing a lot of companies in F2? Was it something else? How exactly came up with the problem, and why did you think you are the right ones to solve that specific problem?
Sure. Okay, so that's a bunch of questions. I'm going to try and answer them all. First of all, I'm just going to start out with the saying that Eilon, my co-founder, said at the beginning of the journey. He said, I'm never building a cybersecurity product again. And the reason is, selling to CISOs or CIOs, which is the person who's in charge of security inside the organization, is super difficult because everyone's trying to pitch them, everyone is trying to sell to them, and it's very difficult to interact with them. The exact opposite is talking to finance teams and CFOs inside organizations. They are so willing to help. They are so willing to share their challenges and problems. They are willing to open up on a Zoom call and share screen of how they manage the data today. Okay. So very quickly, we were able to talk to a bunch of companies in the space, and companies that in our eyes were kind of repeatable use cases. Okay, so if you meet one company in the space, we knew that if these guys are leading the market and they are behaving this way, and this is the way they are managing the data, it's pretty clear that other companies that are competing with them are managing it the same way.
So it was less problem-led or vertical-led. Perhaps it was more like avatar-led, I would say, because you reverse engineered who would be the guys that are more approachable. And you kind of, all right, CFOs, let's focus on them, which problems we can solve. Mm-hmm. That was kind of the process?
Yes. It was like, okay, what is actually happening on the blockchain? What can you use the blockchain for? And then we can see that someone has to manage the financials. Okay, let's look at finance teams and see how they are doing. Okay, clearly there's a problem here. Let's now try and crystallize what the problem is and how we can solve it. And then slowly but surely, we were able to build out. And we had a thesis in that space already, right? Now we just had to validate it, and that's what we did. And of course, by the way, one of the tips I can give the listeners is that venture capital firms have a portfolio of companies. Okay, most of them, or at least some of them, can be potential customers. Okay, one of the best ways, and something I always use when I talk to investors, is like saying, "Hey, listen, for you to know if what we are building is actually worthwhile and if you should invest in us, why don't you send over one of your portfolio companies to test our product?" Okay? Because if they give you a green light, you should invest. And if they give you a green light that means they can work with us, we feel that you are good investors to introduce us to a customer, we'll probably be more willing to take your money. Okay? So this is a win-win situation.
There's less upfront,
even a win-win-win.
They just want to...
Exactly. So that's something we did from the get-go. We saw which investors were investing in which companies, and then we could approach them and say, hey, why don't you introduce us to two of your companies? And if they tell you that the problem is real, then they are kind of an unbiased, not even unbiased, they're actually biased towards you. And if they are saying it's what we are building is interesting and it's worthwhile investing in, that's the best validation you can get. I can say that because I was a former investor. If a portfolio company of mine would send a company to me and say, hey, listen, I'm using their product. It's actually pretty cool. This is what I'm using it for. That's like one of the best references you can get. So if you can use that to gain more traction and more customers, that's one of the best ways to do so. And we use it till this day, by the way.